I was standing in the wreckage of Fort Hollis, Nebraska, when General Dross asked me the question that ended his war. My name is Ray Kowalski, Staff Sergeant, 3rd Human Expeditionary Corps, and on that morning I was the only person still breathing inside a 50-yard blast radius who could translate Kesh dialect without a neural bridge. That's why they dragged me to the surrender table instead of a medic. 3 months earlier, the compact fleet had dropped out of the dark past Neptune and told us, very politely, that Earth was now a resource protectorate. They didn't ask. They didn't threaten either. They explained, the way you'd explain to an anthill that a driveway was going in. Compact doctrine called it low-friction integration. Their scouts had done this to 14 other worlds. 14 species that folded inside a year. We weren't the 15th. By the time General Dross requested a parley at Fort Hollis, his armor column had lost 60% of its strength pushing through the Midwest, and nobody in the compact could explain why. Their intelligence said humanity had no unified command, obsolete weapons, and a species-wide vulnerability to something their behavioral analysts labeled irrational attachment cascades. I didn't know what that meant yet. Dross was about to show me. He came to the table alone, which took guts, I'll give him that. 9 feet of gray-plated muscle, 4 amber eyes, voice like gravel through a synthesizer. Colonel Ruiz sat across from him, arms folded, face unreadable. I stood behind her shoulder and translated. "Your colonel commands here," Dross said. "I command the 6th Compact Legion. I am prepared to discuss terms of compact withdrawal from this continent." Ruiz didn't blink. "Talk," Dross laid it out. His forward battalion, the one that had pushed into the ruins of Lincoln 2 weeks back, had gone dark. Not destroyed, dark. No wreckage, no distress beacon, no bodies. 200 armored compact soldiers had walked into a school district and simply stopped transmitting. "We assumed a trap," Dross said. "Then a partisan network. Then a weapon we had not catalogued. My analysts have run 41 models. None account for the data." He paused, and something in his posture changed, a kind of stiffness that even a translator could read as discomfort. "I'm told your species keeps its young in those buildings during daylight cycles." "Schools," Ruiz said. "Yeah. My battalion commander's last transmission, before the silence, requested guidance on..." Dross stopped, recalibrated. "On children who would not release the hands of compact medical officers attempting evacuation." He described parents arriving, neighbors, unarmed civilians in numbers. His sensors could not initially explain, converging from a 6-kilometer radius in under 11 minutes. I felt Ruiz go very still beside me. 11 minutes, Dross repeated, like the number itself was the wound. "My models say a human settlement of that size should produce 400 combat-capable responders in that window. We recorded 3,100. Ruiz spoke without raising her voice. "That's every parent who could still walk, General. And every parent who couldn't walk sent somebody in their place." Dross's 4 eyes moved across her face, then mine, like he was searching for the part of us that would explain the math. There was no strategic value in that response. No commander would order it. The tactical position was indefensible. Casualties should have been total. "Nobody ordered it," I said before Ruiz could stop me. "Well, that's the part you're not getting." "Nobody had to." Something happened to Dross's voice then. It didn't waver. Kesh vocal cords don't work that way. But the translator caught a shift in cadence, a stutter in a language that doesn't stutter. He leaned forward, plates grinding. "I require confirmation," he said. "Direct, not doctrine. Not propaganda for this table." His amber eyes fixed on me. "Did they take human children?" "In the district your colonel calls Lincoln. My battalion. My soldiers, who I have commanded for 11 cycles, who I have grieved as dead these past 2 weeks." "Tell me plainly, translator. Did my legion take your young?" I looked at Ruiz. She gave me the smallest nod. "They tried," I said. "2 of your medevac units got hands on 11 kids during the evacuation sweep before anybody clocked what was happening." "That's confirmed. Your people weren't cruel about it. They thought they were saving lives, moving civilians out of a war zone." "I believe that. I've read the transcripts." "Then where are my 200 soldiers?" I told him the truth, because there wasn't a version of it that would help him more than the truth would. "There's no crater." "General, because we didn't drop anything on your battalion. Every parent in 6 kilometers walked in with whatever they had. Tire irons, hunting rifles, box cutters, their bare hands. And your soldiers had strict rules of engagement against civilians. Non-lethal response only, per compact integration doctrine. You wrote those rules to keep us docile. Instead, you wrote your own men a death sentence because they weren't allowed to fire on unarmed people. And 3,000 unarmed people decided that morning they had nothing left to lose. The silence after that ran long enough that a medic 2 tables over finished bagging. A body before anyone spoke again. 200 soldiers, Dross said finally, quieter now, surrendered their weapons and their armor rather than fire on civilians defending their young. And the young were returned unharmed. Everyone, Ruiz confirmed. "We don't execute POWs, General." "We're not you. Your men are in a gymnasium in Lincoln right now, eating better than they have in a month. Because it turns out feeding prisoners is cheaper than what you were about to cost yourselves, fighting a species that will burn its own cities down before it lets you touch a kid. Dross sat back. For a long moment, the general, who had conquered 14 worlds, said nothing at all, and when he finally spoke, it wasn't to Ruiz. It was almost to himself. 14 worlds, he said. And I have never once seen a species that would not calculate the cost first. That's the thing you got wrong from orbit, I told him. We don't calculate that one. We just go. He signed the withdrawal order 40 minutes later. Not because we'd broken him on the battlefield, though we had, plenty, but because somewhere in that gymnasium full of his own disarmed soldiers, General Dross had finally understood the one variable his analysts never modeled. You cannot occupy a species that will empty itself in 11 minutes flat for a single child it has never met. He left Earth that winter. He didn't come back. None of them did.